Let your teammates talk to them, interview them, kind of show them around. Then ask later what your teammates, what your crews, hey, what do you think of so and so? They got to work with them. You don't. Can they do the job? You know, even give those guys a few questions to ask him if you want. I say him, it could be a lady. It don't matter. But being that said, you want to make sure that you have the right person on your team. You're booked out. You're busy as hell. What are you going to do next? Can't figure it out. Where to go? Too much, not enough time on your hands. Only so many hours a day. You're not making what you should be, and you've been stuck at that ceiling, 500,000 or less. Can't break it. And if you do, you're probably going to be losing money. This episode's going to be hit hard at home, but it's something you got to hear. Talking to a, well, I wasn't talking. I was talking years ago, but we had a contractor who I know and love, and really great guy, great work, good prices. Um, he needed help, really. He needed somebody to help him because he couldn't get it all done, and he wanted to do it himself because he didn't trust nobody, and that's too bad. And I can see where he's coming from because if you had to go back and rework it, and nothing pisses you off more when you fix something yourself, and then you got to go fix what you paid somebody else to do. You ever thought about that? I'm sure you've been there. And couldn't get above that line because that sales line. Why? Well, he can only bill so much, and he only bill for his time. Then the help that he did get wasn't worth a damn, in my opinion. But that being said, at least it was help, could hand him something, but he couldn't turn a guy loose. So in a way, yeah, he's making it a little more efficient, but if, and he was getting the guy wasn't in the way. Don't get me wrong, but damn, it's like paying now. You're paying two people, yourself and him, to do one job. That ain't very efficient either. When it comes down to it, he had to change his mindset that he's going to hire some good people. Now maybe he thought he couldn't afford somebody good. I don't know. We talked about it, and you can only talk to somebody till you're blue in the face, and they're not going to change. Not going to change. Um, they don't work with me anymore, and it is what it is. But as you grow, your subs have to grow with you, or your people have to grow with you. However you're set up, you got to grow because if you want to break that limit, that ceiling, you have to spread out the work. We talk about delegation, whatever you want to call it. You're giving responsibility to somebody else to go do that job, and you don't have to watch over their shoulder. Period. That's what we're talking about. So how are you going to do that? What's holding you back from breaking that $500,000 mark, whatever it is? Because if you don't grow your sales, inflation's going to get you. You don't get to increase your own money. You don't even get to increase your own salary if it's that's how you're set up. What's holding you back? Well, we already talked about a few of them, but mainly you're still swinging that hammer, or you're still gluing that pipe, or hell, running that wire. Whatever it is, you're still doing it, and you got to get somebody else out there doing it for you. Pay him well. I have another friend. He has a great philosophy, and I do like it a lot. He overpays his guys, and the guys know it, and they know they're not going anywhere else to find a better price. He takes good care of them. He empowers them. He sends them to other job sites to prep. He's got his crews. He's got his crews set up about their with their expertise. For example, he pours concrete, and those guys go up and prep. And you'll have another set of guys come in behind them and do the other stuff, and just they keep rolling, rolling, rolling. He couldn't do that by himself, and he sure the hell can't do it by going and checking on it all the time himself. He has people he depends on, but he pays for them, but he doesn't pay as many of them because he's got good guys that can do the work. And sometimes, in my example earlier with my plumber, hell, if he paid a guy twice of what he's paying, call him a name, his other worker, who wasn't very good, but he can get the sales out of the guys. You can justify it. If you got a good reputation, you can justify a lot of things with your expenses. And time is money. And you know that, and I know that. If everything's dependent on you, your growth isn't available. That's my grandson. See, I get to work at my own leisure and watch my grandchildren. Hmm? And I got guys out there doing my work, but This ain't what that's about today. We're going to come back into the story. You got to be able to scale. You want to break that 500,000? You got to scale. You got to have people and tools and whatever it is. If you're hiring that expensive guy now, good for you. If you want to get more out of him, get him some good tools, whatever it is. But you got to scale. You got to break that thing. And if he's being worked to death, and not worked to death, but you know what I mean. If he's getting behind just because you got some more sales and you got workers, hire another. Have that guy train you. Pay them what they're worth up front. Pay them a little bit more, like my friend, my concrete guy, Randall. He pays them well, and they know it, and they really take care of him. And he's got a good group of guys. Now, another thing that might be holding you back is your underpricing. You think that the competition is not there. Somebody, I was at I went to see the boys one day, and this guy pulled up, and I didn't recognize him at first. And I walked up there, and then I recognized he was, I guess, one of my competitors in a way. He goes, "What are y'all doing down here?" And I said, "Oh man, it's all good. We got enough work for everybody." And it is. You got enough work out there for everybody. Times are times tough. I guess times could always be tough, but you got to make sure you make money. You got to make sure you're doing it profitably. You can be on. I like to talk about being in the middle of pricing, but get your reputation up where you can pay premium, or somebody's going to wait for you. You do such a good job, somebody's going to wait a couple of weeks till you're done with the other job. They understand that to come in. Now, if you're a plumber with emergency services, that's one thing. If you're a concrete guy and you just got work to do, or electricians and so forth, there's a lot of different ways. And I don't mean that what I'm talking about covers everything. You got to make decisions on based on what you have. The point being is you're not going to make that increase in sales unless you get yourself out of the way, let those other guys do it, and you continue doing what you do to grow your business. Some people say hire slow and fire fast. And I ultimately actually agree with that. What that means is take your time, get the right person, let your teammates talk to them, interview them, kind of show them around. Then ask later what your crews, hey, what do you think of so and so? They got to work with them. You don't. Can they do the job? You know, even give those guys a few questions to ask him if you want. I say him, it could be a lady. It don't matter. But being that said, you want to make sure that you have the right person on your team. Make sure you got your goals in your mind, your goals, your vision. A good employee follows vision. You can manage, but you can also lead. And a leader can get the business a lot further than a manager. You need managers, yes, and you hire those. But you lead your company where you want. Be able to express that vision to your people. But that's going to get you above that breaking point, that ceiling that we're talking about. The last thing that could be holding you back, and probably is your lack of financial clarity. And what's that mean? Well, study those income sheets. Figure out where you're spending the money at. Look, I love the percentages. That's the easiest way. If you don't like numbers, at least you look percentages. Like on Price is Right, and Bob Barker's up there, and it's higher or lower, and you hit it right in the middle. If that number's higher than it needs to be, we're going to play ass backwards. You need to bring it down. That's just the simplest way I can make things up. People talk about budgets. Budget can be really detail oriented, and they be real simple. I like to make them real simple because I've had people that just didn't quite understand them. So I'll just abbreviate the budget thing before we go on. You have a number of sales you're going to make. If you want to break that 500,000, then you need to be at 600,000. And what's the profit related to that? Then you take a percentage of that. Say I want to make 20% of that profit. We take the 600,000 minus 20%, and that's the amount of money you get to spend. And you got an idea from your income statements what goes where, and play that percentage game and lay it out. Eventually, you'll become a budget expert. But the point being is, don't spend over this amount of money. And if you do, then figure out why and how you can cut it back, what you need to do to make it happen. It's not hard. We make it harder than it needs to be. I want you to imagine you got those budgets in place. You've hired the right people who can get along with your team, who become part of your team. You've raised your prices, at least raise them based on the cost of living, 3%, 5%, whatever it is. You've raised your prices. You improved your systems. You're getting more done with the same amount of work, whether it be equipment or time. You're getting more sales. You're getting more. You want to look at the sales, and you're looking at sales per employee, how you're growing that, where you're at now. And then the best part is look at it, you're not in there doing the work. You've delegated, you have a team going out, and you're doing the things that grow your business. Now, if you're struggling with that stuff today and you'd like to talk about how you can break through, I want you to listen down there at the bottom. There's a show note there and click on it for your free breakthrough session. We'll talk about how you break through. We'll figure out what your cost is per employee. We'll figure all good stuff out. You know, it's free. We'll make it happen. And best yet, also join our Facebook group, Hard Hat to CEO, where you get those daily inspirations and ideas that you can share with other guys and ask them what they're doing. They give you input too. That's part of being a group. You all, it's been a great day and a great session. I'll see you next week on a Hard Hat to CEO.